The National Investor's motto is, you can get information anywhere, but here you get knowledge.
And in just a couple of minutes, you're going to meet my old friend, Niko Cacos. He is the CEO and president of Argentina Lithium and Energy. You can find them on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol LIT. Easy one to remember. And in the US on the over-the-counter market, the symbol is a little different. It's Paul Nancy X-ray Lima Foxtrot. You see all that here on the screen. So you'll want to look them up. And likewise, as we have our discussion today over the company specifically, over Argentina and its lithium industry generally, which is really in the ascendance in the world, as far as the jurisdiction is concerned, he and or myself might be making what would be considered forward-looking statements. So here on the screen, first off, you'll see their slide from their corporate presentation, making you aware of that. And then here following that is our own from National Investor Publishing, which also adds the note that while Argentina Lithium and Energy is a recommendation of the National Investor Publishing, which comes to our paid subscribers because they pay me for the best advice and recommendations I can give them. Beyond that, Argentina Lithium has also paid the National Investor to do various media and copywriting and various public awareness work for them, of which this video is an example. So we want to get that all out of the way quickly before I bring Niko on. Beyond that, we're talking about lithium. Lithium is blown hot and cold over the last few years. There's times there's a frenzy over lithium stocks. There's times that they blow off for a while, which we've seen now since about midsummer in the markets. I don't care who you are, big company or small, the lithium stocks are on their heels as we're winding down in 2023. But one thing there is no doubt about, and that is that long-term, as is the case with virtually all commodities and metals to one extent or another, folks, lithium is in chronic structural undersupply. If the world is going to meet half or even less than half of everybody's stated goals on EV build-out, storage for energy of other fashions, not even vehicles that also require lithium, etc., there's just not enough of it in the development stage in the world. So the question is where we're going to get it from. And of course, I'm always looking for opportunities for our subscribers as to what are the players that we want to look at. And in trying to determine that, we look at a variety of things that I'll be talking with Niko about. You want to look at management, where the location is, how good the project is, geologically, and all of the rest. But the trouble for investors is there's so many companies out there. It seems like, several years ago, everybody wanted to be a cannabis company because that was the hot thing. Recently, everybody's wanted to be a lithium company because that's been the hot thing. But we're going to separate the men from the boys as we go along, so to speak. And I think one of the ones that's going to be the survivor, and it's a great exploration story in a great jurisdiction, is Argentina Lithium and Energy. So without further ado, here on the screen now you see that President and CEO, Niko Cacos. Niko, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Great to be back on your program.
Well, I appreciate it, and there's a lot of high points that I want to go over as far as Argentina Lithium and Energy is concerned. The first one I alluded to just for a moment is management. A lot of people that have heard even recently about Argentina Lithium, which I'll just use that for short, is because of the news that came out recently that really put you guys into the next league and took you out of this ocean of small junior explorers. There's a lot of you out there, but now all of a sudden you're a serious player, and that's because Stellantis, one of the big three. It amazes me, Niko, that some people still don't even know who Stellantis is, even with all of the press recently about the UAW strike against the quote big three. And wait, I thought it was Chrysler, not Stellantis, but Stellantis owns Chrysler and Jeep and a truckload of other companies the world over as far as automakers. And they decided that Argentina Lithium was worth a major investment for your local subsidiary company that owns your claims, which we're going to get to in Argentina. They're all exploration claims for lithium. But what was it in a nutshell that made Stellantis choose you guys recently in that region?
Well, it's two aspects of it that they, number one is, why did they approach us first? And they approached us because of who we are, our management team, like you alluded a little earlier. Argentina Lithium is managed by Grosso Group. Grosso Group is known in the exploration space, but in Argentina, we're really well known, really well respected group. We're considered pioneers in that country. We've have a long track record of success with managing other junior companies. We've made 4 other significant and major discoveries there. Some of them are in production, some are moving towards production. So it was that reputation when they came in looking to find who they're going to partner up with, who they're going to invest in. They approached us first, and I think I'm proud to be a part of the Grosso Group. Proud, to be able to attract someone like that. Then the next stage, of course, now that they know who we were talking with them, they asked us, let's have a presentation on your project. So we presented our projects. They did extensive due diligence on our projects, the lithium triangle there. They could see the potential of how well located that they were. And it was ultimately the assets, these projects, that convinced them that there should be an investment in the magnitude of 90 million US equivalent into our company.
And one of the cool things about that, just to put this into some perspective, so here you've got an automaker, which most of them have done to one extent or another. Battery makers have done this. They all have sense enough to know, even if governments and policymakers are very slow on this in most cases, regrettably here in the US especially, they know that if they want to be part of the electric vehicle industry in years to come, they've got to have the raw materials to build these things.
Yeah.
I often use the quip that some of these people seem to think that electric vehicles are just magically produced from some magical extrusion machine, and they're going to be powered by fairy dust. I mean, it's not going to work that way, as we know. So I want to unpackage a few aspects of what you just said. First of all, getting back to management, and I had these slides on the screen while you were talking, but I want to put them up again because it's important, especially when you're dealing with a developing nation, which by some definitions Argentina still is.
Yeah.
You mentioned Joe Grosso, who I had the pleasure of meeting a few years back at the New Orleans Investment Conference. Wonderful, gracious guy, and his wife, and a lot of you were there with him over dinner one evening. And it's important when you know the lay of the land in a country that you're in. And just recently, we're recording this the last full week of October. Just this last Sunday, there was an election in Argentina. And there's going to be a runoff, I think, follows what, in November, Niko?
That is correct, November 19th.
So as has been the case for a while now in Argentina, especially, you've got this, it's like a pendulum, swings back and forth. You've got a Peronist in there that follows the old social democracy, socialist, if you want to call it, type of model, which in the most recent past has led to 130% inflation in that country. And then it swings back to an outsider, quote, outsider, conservative of some kind, Mr. Milei being the latest one example of that, who wants to dollarize Argentina's economy and pretty much gut a good part of the government. And so there'll be a runoff between the two candidates there. But what's important, and I want you to expound on this a little bit for the folks, because a lot of people, especially if they're average investors, not acclimated as usual course of things to an emerging nation like Argentina, they say, well, how safe is it, in there? Is it going to be mining is okay today and it's not okay tomorrow? Because we see that so many other places. And what's always amazed me is that for all of this swinging back and forth politically from time to time in Argentina, unlike most other Latin and South American countries where this does happen, there's never really been a problem for extractive industries because the country depends on it and everybody's pretty much on the same page, realizing that's a part of the national wealth.
Absolutely correct. I mean, we've been active in Argentina as Grosso Group now for, actually, this marks our 30th year, so 3 decades, and I've been with Joe Grosso, who's the founder, obviously, and president of Grosso Group since day one. It was just the two of us that got things going. So we've seen over the last 3 decades many governments come and go of all stripes, left, right, populist, whatever, what have you. But you're absolutely correct. The one stable policy has always been, don't touch the mining industry, the extractive industry, because a country like Argentina, a developing country like that, has a need obviously for funds in its coffers, and they can see the untapped potential. Argentina prior to 30 years ago basically had no mining industry there. It was no man's land. Here you've got the 7th largest country in the world, and if it's going to reach a potential like its neighbor in Chile, there's a huge amount of wealth to be uncovered. That was really the main opportunity that attracted us and made us pioneers in that country. And the politicians all recognize that. They recognize the revenue potential and the royalties that can come from mining, and they've always been supportive of it. And with 3 decades of support like that, still we feel very confident going forward that this stability in the mining space will continue that way. And in fact, especially in the lithium space, they've been very, very vocal advocates for advocating, inviting foreign investment into that, into the mining industry here in Argentina for lithium, and extremely supportive in providing us with permits or whatever we need to ensure that we can attract the kind of investment that is required to explore and exploit the vast wealth that remains untapped in Argentina.
Before we get into Argentina a bit more and its emergence as one of the biggest new lithium stories in the world, really, a couple of quick things. First of all, beyond this video, we're going to have a lot of printed information out in the days ahead that will include Argentina Lithium as well. I've been doing from time to time a series of special issues on different sectors, different themes. And lithium, as I alluded to at the beginning of our talk, is but one of the many minerals in the world that is in structurally perilously short supply. And it's one of the reasons why going forward, we're going to see a secular bull market unfold for most commodities. It's already happened in fits and starts. Uranium has been the biggest story, which eventually will benefit one of the sister companies of the Grasso Group, Blue Sky Uranium, which is also a recommendation of mine, and which Niko is also on the management of that company as well. But you've had uranium, you've had lithium on and off. You need to stay plugged into these stories and these companies, folks. So here on the screen is the contact information for Argentina Lithium. Make sure you reach out to my friend Sean Perger here. Get on their list for updates and so forth. And also, if you're not already on my own list to get these special issues, again, the one upcoming is going to include Argentina Lithium when we talk about battery metals and that type of thing, green energy. Make sure you contact yours truly as well, and you'll get a free copy of that issue, which will have a written profile of Argentina Lithium as well as some of my other recommendations. Now, Niko, you mentioned Argentina realizing its wealth. There's been a number of things that I've read recently, independent of anything to do with your company, that talk about how Argentina is probably going to be in the next decade or so the biggest producer in the so-called lithium triangle in South America. There's incredible potential down there. And I want to get in now to the reason why that is. There's a lot of things that sometimes I can be an amateur geologist on, but I don't try and pretend. I'd rather, admit that I don't know everything and learn from others like yourself. So for my benefit and more so for the benefit of those watching, define for us what makes Argentina, and particularly this area that you have projects in, so appealing. What in nature eons back caused these deposits and these formations known as salars to develop?
Well, first of all, lithium is a very abundant mineral, but finding it in economic packages, that's the trick. Mm-hmm. And you look the world over, and it occurs in different kinds of environments. It can occur in hard rock, it can occur in clays, and it can have different kinds of grades, but really it's the cost of extraction that's the big that's the big obstacle. You need to look for lithium deposits that can be relatively quite cheaply extracted, and this is what we find in the lithium triangle. Now, the lithium triangle encompasses part of Bolivia, some of Chile, some of Argentina, in northwestern Argentina. And in these areas, we have salars. Really, it's the Spanish word for salt lake brine. And lithium occurs in these areas, and it's very, very cheap to be able to extract the lithium from the brine. And especially now with the development of some new technologies known as direct lithium extraction techniques, they're able to bring down the cost of extraction to a fraction of what it used to be about before. I've seen projects ranging from $4,000 to $8,000 per ton of lithium, and so that, and when you can sell lithium, the lithium spot price now is $25,000 or $30,000 a ton. There's a healthy margin in there. So that's really what attracts it. It's two things, specifically with Argentina, is it's the country itself is relatively unexplored and undeveloped, and that reads loud and clear opportunity to make new discoveries. That's why we're there. And number two, because the lithium occurs in these salars, and the potential to extract the lithium is so low, the cost is so low, it makes it for one of the best places in the world in which to search and discover economic new lithium deposits.
Now, as of the moment, at least, this of course may change if you were to find some other prospects, I'm sure, but you have 4 notable projects that Argentina Lithium owns in the country. Give us a lap through those, if you would, Niko, and
Yep.
Where we need to, I'm going to put some slides up here too as you go through
Sure.
that from your presentation, but tell us what the attractiveness is, and maybe give us kind of a pecking order of what you're looking at most of all to take towards the rest of the way to hopefully a future development decision.
Well, we've got 4 projects, like you stated, and basically we've got these 2 projects separated into 2 buckets. 2 of these projects are our first-year projects that we're working on now, our priority projects, and the other 2 projects, they're the secondary projects. What makes them primary projects? Well, we've got the Rincon West project and the Antofalla project. What makes these, the reason we've made these primary projects is because these projects are situated in excellent infrastructure regions. They're situated in salars where discoveries have already been made, and in the case of these 2, they're situated adjacent to where some very large companies have some very large deposits. Rincon, in the Rincon West project, for example, is situated adjacent to Rio Tinto's very large deposit there, which is going into production. Rio Tinto, by the way, paid $825 million to acquire their projects just over a year ago. And our other primary project is the Antofalla Salar. That one, we own the northern portion of that salar, a large project. It's about 10,000 hectares, and it's adjacent to Albemarle, the world's second largest lithium producer. So this is, and the grade of these projects are running at around running at around 300 to 400 milligrams per liter lithium, and these are the kind of grades and sections that are very, very similar to what we see like at Rio Tinto and some and the other neighbors in the area. So for us, these are our primary projects. They've been relatively de-risked, and as we're doing work now, we're finding that our initial thesis is paying out very nicely. It's playing out very nicely. So our other 2 projects, the Positos
Niko,
project,
let me stop you there. Let me stop you there for a second, though.
Sure.
I want people to be able to have a perspective of this. So, with a lot of the results in the first 2 projects, you've had 300 to 400 milligrams per liter. You said.
That's right. The Rincon West is the only project for now that we've done drilling on, and on that one, we've had ranges of intercepts between 300 and 400 milligrams per liter over large intercepts, exactly like what's been published by Rio Tinto. On the other project, on Antofalla project, we're still waiting for the permits to come in, which should be coming in imminently, but we know that the project to the south, the Albemarle owned project right there, again, they're ranging 300 to 400 milligrams per liter. We're confident that these salt aquifers extend onto our project, and when we begin drilling, I think that's going to be a very, very exciting program.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there are producing projects even in the United States where the grade is a quarter of that.
Absolutely. Right. And today with DLE technology, I understand there are projects around the world down to 50 or 60 milligrams per liter lithium that are economic. So
I know that if anybody sees triple digits, they're happy.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Even though some projects, if you got the right economies of scale, you can do under 100. But the fact that you're looking at 3 and 4 down there, I think, is part of the explanation that I wanted to make clear to people as to why this is such an emergent country, an emergent part of a country in the whole global equation for lithium. Because in relative terms, and of course nothing's guaranteed until you develop it and start cashing checks, but in relative terms for explorers, this is like fishing in a bathtub.
That's right. The potential is there, and it's obvious potential, and it's why a large multinational like Stellantis selected us, because they see the odds that they're going to be getting the lithium that they want.
Well, certainly
as we develop.
Absolutely. All right. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Now you've got 2 other projects on the shelf. Tell us just a bit about those.
Yeah, we've got 2 other projects, the Positos project and the Incahuasi project. Those are both in salars where there's been no major discovery yet made. We understand from some other work that's being done, the potential there is for lower grade lithium, around 100 to 150 milligrams per liter lithium. But both of these projects are enormous in size. They're over 25,000 hectares apiece. And the reason we've made these second tier is because technology in the DLE, which I alluded to a little earlier, is now being developed at an accelerated pace. And in a few years' time, these mid-grade 300 to 400 milligram per liter projects are even now very hard to come by. And as the DLE technology continues to improve, everybody's going to turn into looking at lower grade, larger deposits, and we're ready to go with these. We've got these on the back burner that are going to kick in a couple of years from now.
Now, before we wind down, Niko, I want, again, for the benefit of people who aren't really versed in this, to explain this recovery process and this DLE. In the U.S., in the state of Nevada, there has been controversy over a couple of potential projects, even though General Motors invested in one of them, Thacker Pass. And the reason for that controversy is people can look at, I think, is it the Silver Peak mine? Is that the name of it that Albemarle has in Nevada? You got a 20 square mile strip mine.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that. Okay.
No.
So the reason why this is an important story, folks, in places like this and with this emerging technology is, and I want you to explain quickly, Niko, in a few minutes that we have, the DLE process. It's similar in a way to just, you put a hole in a well in the ground and you're pumping up material, separating the lithium and getting rid of it. You got a very, very small footprint, right?
That's right. It's a very, very small footprint. Environmentally, it's very safe. In the past, in this part of the world, lithium triangle, there was focus only on really, really high grade lithium deposits, 800 milligrams or better. And the reason for that is because they used what's called evaporation technology. They'd have these big footprints of evaporation ponds. It would take years for them to evaporate, and you needed really
like in Nevada that we just
is right. And you needed high grade lithium because the recovery was so low. So you needed a lot of high grade in order to be able to get some lithium out of it. And it used up a lot of water, which is in this part of the world is very scarce and hard to come by. and it just made a lot of projects untenable. Now with this new technology, we can look at all kinds of projects, and the environmental impact here is extremely low. Number one, they use a fraction of the water that was used before, and number two, that water can be recycled in some of these technologies, so you're not using any more water. And three, you're able to extract the lithium. Like you said, you pump up the brine, it goes through these beads and these columns, and then the liquid goes back down into the brine again. But then these beads, that's what you take out, and you're able to extract the lithium in a very quick and cost-free manner. And this is what makes the salars, this lithium triangle, so attractive, and it's been for many lithium companies that are looking to get involved there.
Well, clearly, you know, when you've got that small a footprint for something that we use or going to use ostensibly to try and make the planet a better place, it adds up and makes all sense in the world. Winding down, Niko, looking ahead to the next year or so, what mileposts you see? I know you just put out an announcement on the back of that investment by Stellantis that you're starting drilling again at Rincon West.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, we are starting drilling again at Rincon West, and now that we've got the funds, we are revamping our exploration plans. We're looking to accelerate our exploration plans as much as possible. As our permits come in, we're looking now to perhaps mobilize. Right now, we've been using one drill rig to do our work. We're looking now to bring in 2 or 3 drill rigs per project, so that we can really accelerate and push these projects over the next couple of years towards the achieving a pre-feasibility study, at the end of which we'll be making a production decision. So we're looking to move very quickly. We're well cashed up, and then going forward from there, you know, we've got a great partner like Stellantis that's going to, as long as the results continue to pan out, they're going to be there for us to assist us with whatever capital costs we need going forward. So I look forward to a very fruitful relationship, and with Stellantis, for them to get the lithium that they desire, and for us to get the returns to the shareholders that we desire to get.
Well, and again, they want to be a customer as well as an investor. They want to profit on both ends, and we all hope, of course, that that's the way it turns out.
That's right.
And folks, I need to stress again that, you know, the market cap for Argentina Lithium today, Niko, as we're talking, is what?
Well, the market cap when we started was $20 million.
20, okay.
And now we're hovering between $50 and $60 million market cap. So we have tripled our market cap size. And I think as we continue to drill and put out results, I think the market is going to continue to revalue us going forward.
Well, and still, folks, remember that before they made the decision, it became public, you know, when the decision and the investment was made. This is a company putting 90 million, not 20 or 50, 90 million US, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Into a company for a fifth, essentially.
Yep.
Interest in the company. So you know how serious they are about this when you compare how they were looking at Argentina Lithium and Energy compared to the way the markets have, but that's the way the markets have been valuing, right or wrong, mostly wrong, in my opinion, a lot of junior exploration companies these days, that's for sure. Well, Niko, I appreciate the time we spent together. I'm excited for this news that came out. You know, this is one of the tiebreakers, folks, that we need to look at. Myself being an analyst and an advisor, and you being investors. There's lots of resource companies out there. And yes, we're going to have, I think, a bull market for many years to come in a lot of these materials. But I don't think it's necessarily going to be a rising tide lifts all boats situation, at least initially. And, you know, you've heard the saying before, follow the money. What is Stellantis looking at? What is General Motors looking at? What is the big battery makers from Korea? What are the governments funding? And that's where we've got to spend a disproportionate amount of our time. And congratulations again to you, Niko, to Joe, to everybody at Argentina Lithium and Energy for doing a good enough job to date that you made it onto Stellantis's radar, and now you're in that different league. so to speak. You're not one of the other ocean of lithium companies out there. Folks, quick reminder to, again, make sure that you keep up with Argentina Lithium and Energy. Here is the contact information again to do that. And last but not least, my own contact information. Make sure you follow me, that you're on my mailing list as well, so that when we come out with our written report on battery metals, in which you will see, among other things, a profile of Argentina Lithium, we want you to be able to have that as well. So, Niko, thanks much. I'll look forward to catching up with you again before too long.
My pleasure, Chris. Thank you very much.
Take care.
For much more of the National Investor's cutting-edge content and actionable investment opportunities, make sure to subscribe to Chris's free content at nationalinvestor.com. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel too. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.